I never thought I'd be the one typing this out, but here I am, fingers shaking over my keyboard at 2 a.m., tears blurring the screen because I just can't hold it in anymore. It's like everything that's been building inside me for years is finally bursting out, and I don't know where to start except at the beginning, even though just thinking about it makes my stomach twist into knots. My name's Emily, I'm 28 now, but this all goes back to when I was a kid, maybe 12 or so, when my mom married Richard. God, even saying his name makes me want to puke. He was this charming guy at first, you know? Tall, with that fake smile that made everyone think he was some kind of knight in shining armor coming to save us from Dad walking out. Mom was a mess after the divorce, drinking too much, crying all the time, and Richard swooped in like he had all the answers. But looking back, I see it now. The way his eyes lingered on me a little too long when I came home from school in my uniform, the jokes that weren't funny about how fast I was growing up. I was too young to get it then, but it planted this seed of unease that never went away. Fast forward a few years and things got worse. Mom started working double shifts at the diner to pay off Richard's gambling debts. He'd blow thousands on poker nights and horse races, then come home reeking of booze and smoke, yelling about how she wasn't pulling her weight. I'd hear them fighting through the thin walls of our apartment, her sobbing, him slamming doors so hard the pictures shook. One night when I was 15, it escalated. I was in my room doing homework when I heard the crash, glass shattering, and then her scream, sharp and terrified. I bolted out to the kitchen and there he was, pinning her against the counter. His fist raised, blood trickling from a cut on her lip where he'd backhanded her. "Stay out of it, you little bitch," he snarled at me when I yelled for him to stop. But I didn't. I grabbed the phone, dialed 911 with trembling hands, and the cops came. They hauled him off for the night, but Mom bailed him out by morning. "He's under stress, Em," she whispered to me later, her eyes swelling purple, ice pack pressed to it like it was just a bruise from bumping into furniture. "We all make mistakes. Family sticks together." That was her line always. Family sticks together. It became this mantra that justified everything. After that, he turned it on me. Subtle at first. Comments about my body, how I should wear looser clothes around the house, for my own good. Then it was the touches. A hand on my shoulder that lingered, brushing my hair back when I was washing dishes. His breath hot and sour against my neck. I told Mom once, in tears, after he'd cornered me in the laundry room and pressed himself too close, his fingers digging into my waist. "He's just being affectionate, honey," she said, not even looking up from her coffee. "You're imagining things because of your father leaving. Don't make waves." I felt so small then, like my words were dissolving in the air, worthless. The neglect piled on too. She stopped coming to my school events, forgot my birthday twice in a row because she was too busy covering his shifts at his mechanic job when he called in sick from hangovers. Financially, it was a nightmare. He'd forge her checks, drain the accounts, and I'd go without lunches or new shoes while he bought himself tools and beers. By 17, I was working after school at the local grocery, hiding tips in a sock under my mattress so he couldn't find them. High school blurred into this fog of survival. I dated a boy named Jake for a bit, thought maybe he could be my escape, but Richard hated him, called him a punk, warned me I'd end up pregnant and ruined like girls like you do. One night, Jake came to pick me up, and Richard answered the door, shirtless and sweating, a beer in hand. "She's not going anywhere with you," he growled, shoving Jake back so hard he stumbled off the porch. I watched from the window, heart pounding, as they squared off, Richard's face twisted in rage. Mom pulled me away, whispering, "Let him handle it. He's protecting you." Protecting me. From what? The only danger was him. That was the night I decided I'd get out. As soon as graduation hit, I'd leave and never look back. But life doesn't let you go that easy. College was supposed to be my fresh start. I got a partial scholarship to state school, worked 3 jobs to cover the rest, lived in a cramped dorm that smelled like stale ramen and regret. Mom and Richard visited once that first semester and it was awful. He criticized everything: the cafeteria food, my sloppy roommates, and when we were alone in the car back to the airport, he leaned over, hand on my thigh under the pretense of shifting gears, squeezing until I winced. "You owe us, Em," he said, eyes on the road but voice low and mean. "All that money we're scraping for you. Don't forget who's keeping you afloat." I jerked away, bile rising, and that was it. I cut contact. No calls, no visits. Mom sent guilt trip letters. "We're so proud, but we miss you. Richard says hi." I burned them. Fast forward to 24, when I graduated and landed a decent job as a paralegal in the city. Nothing fancy, but it paid the rent on my tiny studio. I was finally breathing, dating sporadically, even thinking about therapy to unpack the mess in my head. That's when Mom called out of the blue, voice cracking. "Emily, please, it's Richard. He's sick. Cancer. We need you." I should have hung up, but that stupid family sticks together echoed in my skull. Against every instinct I went home. The house looked the same. Peeling paint, yard overgrown with weeds. But Richard was a ghost of himself, bald from chemo, skin yellowed, coughing up phlegm into tissues stained brown. Mom hovered like a martyr, cooking his favorites even though money was tight again. Turns out his illness came with bills they couldn't pay. Treatments weren't covered, and he'd racked up more debt gambling online from his recliner. Helped stupidly. Wired money for meds. Took unpaid leave to drive him to appointments. The chemo ward was hell. Sterile white walls that hummed with beep. The acrid smell of sickness clinging to everything. His moans echoing as the drugs hit his veins like fire. One drive home he grabbed my hand, weak now but insistent, and muttered, "You're a good girl, Em. Always were. Remember that time in the laundry room? We were just close, you and me." My blood ran cold. The car swerved as I yanked free, tires screeching. That night I confronted Mom in the kitchen, voice shaking. "He touched me, Mom. When I was a kid. You knew and did nothing." She froze, spoon midway to the pot of soup, then sighed like I was the dramatic one. "He was stressed, Emily. Men do things when they're stressed. And look at him now, dying. Can't you forgive for my sake? Forgive." As if my nightmares, the flinches at loud voices, the way I'd wake up sweating from dreams of his hands, they were nothing compared to her pain. I stayed for the funeral 2 months later. It was small, just family and a few of his poker buddies who showed up reeking of cheap cologne. Mom clung to me, sobbing into my shoulder, snot soaking my blouse. "What am I gonna do without him?" she wailed, and I held her because what else could I do? But inside something snapped. While sorting his things, boxes of yellowed receipts, hidden stashes of cash he'd squirreled away from her paychecks, I found the photos. Dozens of them, printed from an old laptop. Me as a teen, changing in my room through a cracked door, shots taken from the hallway. My stomach heaved. I dry-retched into the trash can, the metallic tang of fear in my throat. There were emails, too, to some woman named Carla. His side piece from the diner where Mom worked. He'd been cheating for years, sending her money Mom thought was for bills, promising to leave the old hag once he got his little project sorted. Me. I was the project. That's when the rage took root, black and thorny, wrapping around my heart until I couldn't breathe without it. I didn't tell Mom about the photos. I copied them to a drive, locked it away. Instead, I played the dutiful daughter a while longer. Helped her file for his life insurance, which came through big because he'd lied about pre-existing conditions to up the payout. $500,000. She cried tears of relief, hugging me. "See? He provided for us after all." Provided. I smiled through gritted teeth, already planning. Started small. I suggested she invest the money wisely. Pointed her to a financial advisor I knew, who was really a guy from my old firm, in on the con. He funneled it into bad stocks, offshore accounts that vanished overnight. Mom didn't notice at first. She was too busy dating Richard's old buddy, some sleaze named Tom who moved in quick, handsy and loud. But when the statements came, red ink bleeding across the pages, she called me hysterical. Emily, it's gone. All of it. What happened? I feigned shock, drove down, watched her unravel over coffee that had gone cold. Maybe Tom's helping, I said innocently, planting the seed. Turns out Tom had a record, DUI, assault from years back, and I anonymously tipped off his parole officer with evidence of him driving drunk again. Cops raided the house while I was there. Mom screamed as they cuffed him. His face pressed to the linoleum, her world crumbling again. She turned on me then, accusing me of sabotage because, "You never liked Richard, you always held grudges." I let her rage, recorded every word on my phone hidden in my purse. The slurs, the threats to cut me out forever. It was fuel. Next came the legal stuff. I hired a PI with my savings, dug into Richard's estate. Turns out, he'd forged Mom's signature on a second mortgage years ago, draining the house equity for his affairs. I filed quietly as her advocate, claiming elder abuse since she was vulnerable post-loss. The bank foreclosed. Auction signs went up on the lawn she used to tend with such pride. She called me from a motel, voice hoarse. "How could you? This is my home." I whispered back. "Family sticks together, Mom. Remember." The final blow was the exposure. I compiled it all, the photos, emails, audio clips, forged docs, and sent anonymous packets to her new church group, her co-workers, even Carla, who I'd tracked to a suburb with Richard's bastard kid. The fallout was swift and brutal. Whispers turned to stares. Mom lost her job at the diner. Moral turpitude, they said. Her friends ghosted, leaving voicemails like, "We had no idea, but stay away." She showed up at my door once, disheveled, makeup streaked like war paint, pounding until neighbors peeked out. "You did this. You ruined me," she shrieked, spittle flying. I opened the door just enough to meet her eyes, red-rimmed and wild. "You ruined me first," I said softly, then closed it, chain rattling into place. The cops came for her later that week. Trespassing, harassment. She's out now, crashing on couches, but the damage sticks. Last I heard, she's popping pills, talking to shadows, alone in a world that knows her as the mom who let her husband prey on her daughter. Me. I'm still in the city, job solid. Apartment with a view of the park where I walk alone most evenings. The rage has quieted to a simmer, a companion that keeps me sharp. I don't date, don't trust easy, but there's power in that isolation, a cold, clean kind. No more flinches, just steel where my heart used to bruise. And if I think of her, hollow-eyed in some dingy room, or Richard's ghost haunting her dreams, it brings this grim twist of satisfaction, like justice served raw. That's my truth. Off my chest finally. New. Oh God, it's been 3 months since I posted this, and I thought spilling it would help, but it's like opening a dam. Everything floods back harder. So, update. Mom's been blowing up my email, these rambling messages that start sweet, "I miss my girl," and twist into venom. "You owe me for everything I sacrificed." I blocked her number months ago, but she found my work address through LinkedIn or something. Last week, a package arrived. Old photo albums, my baby pictures mixed with those awful ones of me as a teen, a note scrawled in her shaky handwriting. "See? We were happy once. Come home and fix this." My hand shook so bad I dropped. Pages scattering across the floor like confetti from hell. The smell hit me then. Musty paper and her cheap lavender perfume, clinging like a curse. I burned it all in the sink, watched the flames lick up the edges, black smoke curling toward the vent. Cried for the first time in years, not for her, but for that little girl who just wanted her mom. Then the call came, from a social worker of all people. Turns out, Mom's been hospitalized twice now. First for accidental overdose on her blood pressure meds, second for dehydration after a fall. She's 58, looks 80 they say, skin sagging like old fruit. The worker asked if I'd visit. For closure. Closure. Ziff. I said no, but it gnawed at me, so I drove by the hospital on my way home. Didn't go in, just sat in the parking lot, rain pattering on the windshield like impatient fingers. Through the lobby window I saw her, hooked to an 4, hair matted, talking to no one. Part of me wanted to storm in, scream until my throat bled, but nah. Let her stew in the quiet. That's worse. Work's been my anchor. Got promoted to junior associate, buried in case files that keep my mind off the ghosts. But revenge isn't done simmering. I tipped off the DA about those forged docs from Richard's estate. Turns out it qualifies as fraud, and since Mom co-signed under duress, I proved with timestamps she's facing charges. Court dates next month. She'll lose the last scraps of the house payout in fines. Maybe even do time if they push elder financial abuse angle against her own self-neglect. Grim. But every scar on my body, every nightmare, it's balanced now a little. New. 2 weeks ago everything exploded again, and I mean exploded, like I can still feel the echo of her voice in my ears, shrill and breaking. So she's out of the hospital, crashing at a halfway house for recovery. But instead of getting clean, she's stirring up old crap. I get this call from my cousin Lisa, haven't talked to her since the funeral, who's all, what the heck? Auntie's telling everyone you stole Richard's money and drove him to his grave with your lies. As if the photos weren't real. As if her denial wasn't the knife twisting deeper. Lisa's one of the few who believed me back then. Sent a card after I cut contact, but family's pull is strong. She visited Mom, saw the state, the yellowed teeth, the tremors, and bought the victim act hook, line, sinker. I didn't engage at first, just blocked Lisa too. But then the emails started from random relatives. Family meeting? Mom's asking for you. Well. Then yesterday she shows up at my building, how? God knows, maybe sweet-talked the doorman with her sob story. Buzzes up at 7 p.m., just as I'm unwinding with takeout, the steam from pad thai fogging my glasses. I peek through the peephole, her standing there, coat hanging off bony shoulders, eyes sunken like pits. Emily! Please talk to me! She calls, voice muffled but desperate. Against every rule I set for myself, I crack the door. Big mistake. She lunges, not violent, but grabs my arm, nails digging in like claws, drawing tiny crescents of blood that well up warm and sticky. You think you can destroy me and walk away? I gave you life. Snot bubbles at her nose, tears carving tracks through grime on her cheeks. The hallway smells of her, unwashed sour milk and regret. I wrench free, the sting sharp, and slam the door, heart hammering like a trapped bird. But she doesn't stop. Pounds it, screams about betrayal, how I'm just like Dad, abandoning the weak. Neighbors bang on walls. Someone yells, "Shut up!" Security hauls her out, but not before she spits on the mat. Viscous glob that I stare at later, scrubbing until my knuckles raw. Cops filed a report. No charges yet, but I pushed for a restraining order. Court was today. Her showing up in an ill-fitting dress, hair frizzed, mumbling to her public defender about my baby girl. The judge, a stern woman with glasses like shields, heard my evidence. Audios, photos, the hospital records showing her instability. Granted full order 500 yards. As they led her out, she twisted back, mouth working silently, but her eyes. Oh, those eyes were dead, hollowed out. No fight left, just defeat. Tonight I'm packing a go bag, thinking of moving cross-country. Job's remote-friendly now, and the isolation. It's my armor. No more doors cracking open to monsters. Satisfaction's there, bitter on my tongue like black coffee, knowing she's untethered now. Adrift in a sea of her own making, while I sail alone, steady. New, it's over. Really over, in the coldest way possible. Been a month since the hearing, and I've put the apartment on sublet. Headed west to start fresh in Seattle. Rainy skies that match my mood, but clean, anonymous. Mom. Last I checked. And yeah, I still check like picking a scab, she's gone full spiral. The fraud charges stuck. She pled out to misdemeanor, but the fines wiped her clean. Evicted from the halfway, she's homeless now, bouncing between shelters and park benches. Cousin Lisa called once more, voice small. She's bad, talking nonsense, accusing shadows of being Richard. Hung up. Don't need the details, but the PI sent updates for kicks. Her mugshot from a vagrancy bust, face gaunt, lips cracked bloody from muttering in the cold. Frostbite on her fingers, they said. Winter's coming. The revenge capstone. I leaked the full file to a true crime podcaster, Anon of course, who ran a 3-parter, The Monster in the Family Home. Millions listened. It went viral on those Reddit threads, people dissecting her as the enabler, him as the predator. She heard, somehow, Shelter TV blaring it and snapped. Overdose attempt number 3, but this time they pumped her stomach in the ER, left her strapped to the bed, raging at nurses who looked away. Doctors say permanent damage. Liver shot, mind fractured. She won't work again, won't connect. Alone, utterly. Me. New city, new name on the lease. Feels like shedding skin. Walk the waterfront alone, salt air stinging my scars, and yeah, there's power in it. No forgiveness, no loose ends. Just me, thriving in the quiet ruin I wrought. That's cold, so be it. It's mine.